My brother's voice floated down the corridor. "Catherine, are you still on that game?" While I pounded madly on my computer, engrossed in a virtual world. "You've been at it for hours." I turned around in my seat and smiled at him. "Just trying to beat your high score, big bro." He grinned and gave me a familiar loving ruffle in my hair. "I doubt you'll ever beat the master, but keep trying." We used to talk about TV shows, games, and the newest rumors about famous people. We shared a connection that carried with us into our separate lives, myself venturing into the world of office plankton and him into the busy world of engineering. There was usually family involved at dinner time. Dad's eyes gleamed with mischief as we sat around the table that evening. "So, Catherine, any new disasters in the kitchen today?" I moaned in jest. "Why does everyone keep reminding me of my culinary catastrophes?" "We're your family, dear. It's our job to tease you," Mom said with a kind grin. "But really, you guys know I'm not just about that. I have a rich inner world, you know?" I leaned forward and continued. Dad gave a nod, his face growing stern. "Of course, kiddo. It's your heart and mind that matter most. And remember, your mom and I are proud of you, no matter what." His words warmed me, and I grinned. Even though our family dinners were straightforward, they were the vital links in the fabric of our love and trust. There were hardly any arguments, and when they did, they ended quickly with mutual understanding and forgiveness. Later that night, I couldn't help but feel satisfied as I curled back into my virtual world while sitting beside my computer. Even with the little jabs at my housekeeping abilities, I knew I was loved just the way I was. I felt prepared to take on whatever the world had in store for me at that very moment. My aspirations and reality didn't always mesh well when I was a child, especially in the kitchen. I once unintentionally set off the smoke alarm one evening when I was making supper in an ambitious attempt. With a frustrated expression on her face, my mother stormed in. She groaned, waving away the smoke. "Catherine, you're more likely to call the fire department than a decent meal?" Feeling the pain of her words, I scowled. "Mom, I'm capable of loving beyond only my culinary prowess. I can offer you a lot." She gave me a look as her countenance softened. "I understand, sweetie. However, the head isn't necessarily the door to someone's heart." Sentenced to be misinterpreted, I withdrew to my chamber. Mike, my brother, trailed after, propped himself against the doorframe. "Cat, try not to let that affect you. You are really intelligent in a lot of ways." I offered him a meek grin. "Many thanks, Mike. Mom might be correct, though. Perhaps I'm just supposed to be alone myself." Mike sat down next to me and said, "Nonsense. You'll find someone who loves you for who you are. And you have me up till then." Even if his comments were consoling, I still felt like I might have wanted more. As the years went by, I reluctantly started to wear the concept of being alone as a badge of honor. Throughout my time in college, I avoided amorous activities. "I'll just go with a horde of cats," I joked to my buddies when they inquired about prom. Then I met Daniel in my programming class. As we looked at one other across the room, something in me began to stir. I had never felt anything like that before, and it both delighted and scared me. "Who is that?" I spoke to a student in a whisper. "That's Daniel, the best student in our class," she shot back, her gaze following him. "And completely unworthy of you." I observed him, intrigued but wary. For the first time, I pondered whether it may be worth the risk, even if the idea of opening my heart was frightening. The day was unfolding like a Korean drama screenplay when I first met Daniel. On one of those usual hectic university days, I was hurrying down the hallway with my arms weighed down with papers and textbooks. I stepped on something as I rounded a corner. As I staggered and my papers scattered like leaves in the wind, it felt like time was slowing down. A hand stretched out and steadied me just as I was ready to collapse. When I looked up, I was met by the most captivating emerald eyes. His question, "Are you okay?" came through the commotion in a soothing cadence. Stunned, I could only nod in agreement. "Yes, thank you," I at last said, my cheeks getting hot. Gesturing me to grab my documents, he grinned. "Hello, I'm Daniel," he introduced himself. "Catherine." I said as I grasped his hand. Even though it was a light touch, it gave me a shock. We chuckled awkwardly as we attempted to arrange the documents. You seem to carry the whole library with you, he quipped. I guess I do, I grinned. I'm a bit of a bookworm. I could tell. So, what's your major? Daniel inquired, sounding really curious. I said, programming, with a wave of pride. His eyes glistened with fascination as he replied, Interesting. I'm in business myself. Maybe we can exchange notes sometime? My heart skipped a beat. I'd like that, I responded, sounding more assured than I actually was. We lingered there for an additional time, the bustle of students surrounding us receding from view. We seemed to be cut off from the outside world, trapped in our own little bubble. Daniel reluctantly stated, I should get going, at the end. But I hope to see you around, Catherine. Me too, Daniel, I remarked as I watched him go. Something important had only begun. I couldn't help but think as I grabbed the last of my documents. Daniel and I saw that we were drawn to each other more and more. Our uncomfortable chats quickly developed into more in-depth discussions as we discovered a mutual love of programming and an undeniable chemistry. Our chance meetings quickly developed into planned get-togethers, signaling the start of an intriguing and organic relationship. Living with Daniel was an incredible experience. I felt like the strong woman I had always wanted to be, and I thrived in my profession as a programmer. Daniel's aspirational ambitions and perceptive thinking were the ideal complement to my existence. It never failed to amaze me that we would frequently engage in cerebral conversations over dinner on our evenings. On one such occasion, Daniel came in as I was setting the table, his face beaming with the day's events from his firm. He hung up his coat and remarked, Catherine, you won't believe the breakthrough we had today. As I served the spaghetti, I grinned. Explain it to me. I like learning about your accomplishments. We've managed to integrate a new AI system into our operations, he said with passionate enthusiasm. It will completely change the way we operate. His eyes glistened with desire, a sight that made my heart sing. Daniel, it is very amazing. I eagerly answered, You know, I had a similar experience at work today. Finally, we were able to troubleshoot the troublesome code. It is as though a great burden has been removed. Daniel halted in midair as he listened closely. That's my smart wife, he exclaimed with pride, always figuring out the hardest puzzles. Our talks frequently veered from business to our aspirations for travel to jovial arguments about the newest TV show. Daniel turned to face me that evening as we sat on the couch, his countenance solemn. Catherine, I have some thoughts. We ought to arrange that trip to Japan that we have been discussing for a while. Life is too brief to put off pursuing our goals, tucked in close to him, giddy with anticipation. I would adore that. Imagine us strolling through Tokyo's streets, enjoying sushi, and learning about its vibrant culture. And I can't wait to see you in a kimono. You'd look stunning, Daniel laughed. I was really satisfied as we joked and made plans. And here I was, with a job taking off, a man I loved, and a bright future ahead of me. I had no idea how quickly this picture-perfect moment would fall apart and alter my life forever. My pulse beat with eagerness as I sat at the Blue Sky Cafe across from Lisa. My longtime friend Lisa gave me an unexpected call and asked to get together. It was rare for her to be late. When she did come, she struggled with her belongings and her eyes flashed tensely. I apologize for being late, Catherine, Lisa said, her voice trembling a little. You seem off, I said, raising an eyebrow in worry. It's okay, Lisa. Is everything all right? Lisa inhaled deeply and hesitated before continuing. Actually, I called you here to tell you something important. Anxiety stirred in my gut. Lisa had a disconcerting manner. What is it? You're making me nervous. She clasped her fists firmly and glanced down. It's about Daniel. We've been seeing each other for a year now. Her remarks came as a huge brick to me. My hands shook, and I felt my face turn pale. You and Daniel? My Daniel? I said, in a hushed, incredulous tone. Lisa nodded while averting my eyes. Yes, Catherine, I'm so sorry. I thought you should know. How could you both do this to me? I trusted you, Lisa. And Daniel, he's my husband. I cried, my heart boiling with rage and betrayal. Her voice broke as she continued. I know, and I feel terrible. I just couldn't keep it a secret any longer. With a start, I got up and scuffed my chair on the ground. I can't believe this. I need to go. Lisa reached out, but I waved her hand away. Catherine, please, let's talk about this. I grabbed my jacket and hurried out of the cafe, leaving Lisa sitting alone with a mixture of grief and shame on her face. There's nothing to talk about. You've said enough. My mind raced as I turned to go. I was deeply betrayed by the two individuals I trusted the most. After this realization, I was certain that I could never return to Daniel. I needed to locate somewhere to remain while I made plans for the future. I had just had my entire existence flipped upside down, and I didn't know how to put myself back together. When I called, the sun was just beginning to peek through the blinds. The profile photo of the private investigator I had seen online, Thomas Brown, had a certain charm that was a blend of sharpness and fatigue. His description was so self-aggrandizing as to be nearly comical. His voice cracked across the phone. Thomas Brown speaking, remarkably aware at this awful hour. Hello, Thomas. My name is Catherine Smith. I'm in need of your assistance with a personal matter, I began, sounding a little scared but also determined. Go on, he said, in an indifferent tone. There was a slight pause following the explanation of the circumstances to Daniel and Lisa. I see. Let's meet tomorrow at noon. The Coffee Bean on 5th Street work for you? I answered, feeling a knot in my gut grow. Perfect. Though the Coffee Bean was busy, Thomas stood out because to his loose slacks and black sweatshirt. He didn't appear like a detective at all, rather like a tired student. He gave me a once-over as I walked up, his glance assessing, but uninterested. Catherine? It's me, Thomas, correct? I asked, holding out my hand. His gaze was sharp and his handshake solid. The cacophony of the cafe surrounded us like a cocoon as we sat at a corner table. I told him everything, keeping an eye out for a reaction on his face. He was still unmoved. With a firm voice, he questioned, So, you think your husband is having an affair and possibly involved in something illegal? Yes, exactly. I need to know the truth, Thomas. Leaning back, he narrowed his gaze a little. I'll summarize the facts for you, but remember, I only deal with what's tangible, no melodrama. I took offense at his direct remarks. I understand. I'm not looking for drama, just answers. Good. I'll start with some basic surveillance, check his digital footprints. Do you have access to any of his personal devices? I nodded, a mixture of resolution and remorse. Yes, I can get you what you need. Thomas made a note in his notepad. I'll need complete honesty from you, Catherine. No secrets. I told him, You'll have it. As the burden of the circumstance fell on my shoulders, he got up, prepared to go. I'll be in touch. Expect a call. A odd feeling came over me as he left. Was I acting appropriately? But then my determination grew harder as I remembered Daniel and Lisa. Whatever the truth revealed, I had to know it. We reconnected at the same cafe a week later to discuss the issues at hand. As I sat across from Thomas, my pulse was racing with excitement. Photographs and papers littered the table between us. Thomas's sincerity was evident to me, and it reflected the seriousness of our project. I tried to hide my anxiety as I said, So, what have we found? Leaning forward, Thomas looked over the materials. It's complex, Catherine. We've pieced together Miller's last days. It seems he was prescribed felodipine for his blood pressure, but there's an anomaly. I leaned closer, curious now. Anomaly? What kind? He gave me a picture. This was Miller's last meeting at Daniel's company. Notice the fruit on the table? I blinked at the picture. Grapefruits. So, grapefruit can dangerously interact with felodipine, increasing its potency. It could cause a stroke, especially in high doses. My thoughts were racing. Are you suggesting Daniel knew? Thomas exhaled. I checked the caterers for the meeting. Grapefruit wasn't on the original menu. It was added last minute, by someone inside the company. A shiver went down my spine. You mean Daniel? We can't jump to conclusions yet, but yes, it's a possibility. Feeling the weight of the discovery, I sagged back. This is bigger than an affair. This is murder. Thomas extended his hand and made a fleeting contact with mine. We need more evidence. I suggest we talk to the staff who were at the meeting, see if anyone noticed anything unusual. I nodded as resolve began to take hold. Let's do it. I need to know the truth, no matter how painful. Thomas's calm, comforting gaze greeted me. We will, Catherine. We'll find out everything. I realized that our research had only just begun as we were leaving the cafe. Daniel's involvement in something as horrible as this was nearly unbearable to consider. Better or worse, I had to know the truth. I was standing in front of Miller's house, holding the evidence folder that Thomas and I had laboriously assembled. A mixture of fear and resolve surged through me as my heart raced. I inhaled deeply before pressing the doorbell. With furious and red-rimmed eyes, Mrs. Miller opened the door. Catherine, isn't it? Come in, please. I entered, sensing the gravity of the circumstance. Mrs. Miller, I have something important to discuss about Oliver's death. The air in the living room was thick with unsaid anguish as we sat there. With a shaky voice, she said, What is it, dear? I gave the packet to her. We believe Daniel, my soon-to-be ex-husband, was involved in Oliver's death. This evidence suggests he manipulated Oliver's medication. She turned the pages with shaking hands. I always suspected foul play. But Daniel, your husband? Yes, I said in an almost audible whisper. I'm so sorry. We went into great depth about the evidence. Her spouse was deliberately murdered. His death was not an accident. It seemed strange to play a part in revealing this reality. I told Thomas about the meeting while we were sitting at a cafe later. I spoke without paying attention to mix my coffee and added, She's going to take legal action. Thomas nodded, anxiety and happiness mixed together in his gaze. You did the right thing, Catherine. But at what cost, Thomas? My marriage, my trust, everything's shattered. He stretched across the table and placed his palm over mine. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it's better than living a lie. You're strong, Catherine. You'll get through this. As I met his gaze, I felt a sudden comfort. I have to file for divorce now. I can't be married to a murderer. Reassuringly, Thomas gripped my hand. I'll help you with whatever you need. The courthouse I sat in to complete my divorce from Daniel was chilly, both inside and out. I avoided his stare as I kept my eyes focused on the paperwork. It was finished. My heart hurt, with a mixture of relief and sadness as I left, but I also felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Thomas was waiting outside when I arrived. He had grown to be a reassuring constant in my life. Catherine, are you okay? Thomas questioned, a hint of worry in his voice. I forced a flimsy smile. I'm free, Thomas. It feels surreal. With comprehension in his eyes, he nodded. You've been through a lot, but you handled it with incredible strength. Gazing up at the sky, I let out a sigh. I guess. But now, what? I feel like I'm at a crossroads, unsure of which path to take. Thomas took a step toward her. Sometimes, the best path is the one you make for yourself. I laughed quietly. That sounds like something out of a self-help book. His eyes wrinkled at the corners as he grinned. Maybe, but it's true. You have a chance to start over, Catherine. What do you want to do? I paused to reflect. I want to live a life that's true to me. No more pretending, no more living up to someone else's expectations. That's a good start, warmly remarked Thomas. My heart pounded as I turned to face him. Thomas, I've been thinking about us. We've been through so much together, and I feel like He softly grasped my hand. Catherine, I've been thinking the same. You've become an important part of my life, more than just a client or a friend. An emotional flush overcame me. Do you think, could there be something more between us? Thomas fixed his unwavering stare on me. I believe there could be, but only if you're ready. I don't want to be a rebound or a distraction. I gave him a handshake. You're not. You've shown me a different perspective on life. You've been my support when I needed it the most. He grinned, a real, sincere smile. Then let's take this one step at a time, together. Thomas put his hand in mine as we were leaving the cafe, a small gesture that spoke so much. As we walked side by side, I felt at ease and excited about what was to come. Though the path ahead could be unknown, I was excited to explore it for the first time in a very long time.